We have lots to talk about today, including the results and fallout from Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. The Panthers have won the game, take a 2-0 series lead, but there's been lots of things to discuss that I know lots of different fans on both sides found controversial or things that may or may not have been called. We do have news from player safety regarding something that happened in that game, but it's not the one that Panthers want to hear about. We also have lots of other news around the NHL involving coaching, waivers. We had the PWHL draft last night. Lots of other trade rumors as well around the NHL. Focusing on the future of Jake Guentzel. Could he end up in Vancouver? The latest on Marty Necas, Nikolai Ehlers. The San Jose Sharks are reportedly willing to move Mario Ferraro in. Ottawa and Calgary still talking about Markstrom. Lots of talk lately about the Senators wanting Tisha Gillen at the draft. I do wonder if that could play a role in this deal maybe getting done. We'll see. We'll talk about it all coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots to talk about today. Let's first start with the Stanley Cup Final, Game 2 result and fallout from that game. Lots of things that are being discussed by the fan bases on both sides and fans alike. Like I said, we do have one item of to talk about from player safety, and it's not the one the Panthers fans want to see. I know they'd like to see Leon Draisaitl be suspended. That's not coming. That's not going to be happening. But Sam Carrick of the Oilers was fined for slashing against defenseman Dmitry Kulikov, which essentially they called it slashing, but basically he had a stick between his legs up into his, his private region. So certainly, I'm sure that didn't feel too good. But Carrick's fine. That's the only thing that's coming from player safety in regards to that game. Of course, like I said, the Panthers win the game, 4-1 win, which includes an empty net goal. It was 2-1 until later. Panthers made it 3-1, then added the empty netter to make it 4-1. Oilers had the first goal. They survived a 5-minute power play. There was a couple of hits early on in that first period. One from Warren Foegele that gets a 5-minute penalty in game misconduct. One from Sam Bennett that got absolutely nothing. I know Oilers fans were not pleased about the Foegele knee being a major. I think personally, in my opinion, it's a penalty. I don't think it's a major penalty, though. I think it's a 2-minute penalty myself. I don't think Foegele went in there leading his knee out with intent. With Luostarinen receiving the hit, to me, he moves at the last minute and he kind of creates that collision on the knee. So, I really think that's a minor penalty. I don't see it being a major myself. I'm surprised they reviewed it, and after reviewing it, it was a quick review at that there was no change. I really was surprised. But before, there was also the hit from Bennett, a knee on Bouchard. Nothing. To me, if you watch the Bennett hit on Bouchard down by the Oilers net, and you watch the Foegele hit on Luostarinen, to me, there's not much difference. It's pretty much the same hit. So how can one be nothing and one be a major? So again, Sam Bennett seems to be the king at getting away with stuff. One of the dirtiest players in the league. He tries, and I don't blame him for trying stuff. If you're going to get away with stuff, especially, keep doing it. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, is the old expression, and you want to win by any means necessary. I get that. So, obviously I have a lot of respect for him, but at the same time, he is dirty, and I don't think a Panther fan can defend that. It's just the way it is. That's how he plays. He gets under your skin. He does things that he's really good at being sneaky to not be caught. Sometimes he does get caught, but a lot of times he doesn't. Just like the old hit to Marchand's face in the Bruins series when he had his glove and a stick and popped him one, and he managed to make it so that it was not even really noticed by the referees. But at the end of the day, I wasn't a fan of the Foegele penalty. I know some people liked it, some people didn't, but that's where I stand on that one. I know obviously there's also the Barkov situation. He takes a hit from Draisaitl. This is later in the game, of course. I know Panthers fans want Leon suspended. That's, like I said, it's not happening, and I don't really think it should be either. To me, Leon hits him. There is contact with his face. There's no doubt. But I think, honestly, it's because of the Barkov's body positioning. He's kind of crunched over a bit. And honestly, if he's standing upright, Leon gets him in the chest. Is it a penalty? He did leave his feet. I do think it's a penalty. Again, I just don't think it's anything that's suspendable, especially in the playoffs. The way that the playoff refereeing and player safety, for that matter, have gone, it's mind-boggling. Stuff that was being called in earlier rounds are not being called now. Like, look at the the cross check that McDavid took, led it to a suspension for Susie, and now you're seeing stuff that's comparable that's let go and not being suspended at all. So again, my biggest gripe with NHL officiating and player safety, it's the inconsistency, and again, we have seen some of that for sure. But yeah, in my opinion, I don't think Leon should be suspended, and he's not going to be. It was a penalty for sure. Barkov definitely injured. That's really unfortunate. Certainly a huge piece of the pie for Florida. He was holding his jaw when he went off the ice. Some people thought it might be a fractured or broken jaw. I really think it's more down to concussion. In all honesty, based on comments from Paul Maurice today, when asked about an update, he said he didn't really have an update, but that he wasn't any worse today. Like, well, I don't see how a broken jaw is going to really change overnight, be better or worse, per se. That's why I think it's more like the symptoms with concussion can change, right? So that's why I think that's more like what they're dealing with. It's difficult to say. We don't know. He said that, if things progress the way they are, where they have a couple extra days off, maybe he'll be fine. At least that's the optimism that they're trying to go with right now. So we'll have to wait and see as we get closer to Game 3 to determine if Barkov will be in the lineup. If he's not, it'll definitely be a game changer and be a big blow for the Panthers. Lots of other news around the NHL today. The Islanders signed one of their prospects, 2023 fourth-round pick. Jesse Nurmi gets his 3-year entry-level contract, so he's officially signed. The Buffalo Sabres today promoted Jerry Fortin he was a director of amateur scouting. He's now assistant general manager, so he gets to move up within the organization. The San Jose Sharks today also had Nathan Todd on waivers for the purpose of contract termination. And that might be confusing to some. If you're not familiar with Nathan Todd, he was on a 2-way contract but spent the entire year with their American Hockey League affiliate with the Barracuda. He was the leading scorer as well. So it might seem weird to terminate a contract a year early for your leading scorer of the American Hockey League, especially from a rebuilding team. But at the end of the day, the way Todd's contract is structured, he was due to be paid $200,000 as an AHL salary next year. And you know what? Just because he's a good American Hockey Leaguer doesn't mean they see him as being a long-term NHLer. And he apparently had opportunities to play in Europe where he can earn more money. And obviously that just makes more sense for him, right? So, but apparently he had requested a release from the contract to play in Europe. So that's why he's moving on. USA Hockey today confirms that John Hynes will be an assistant coach for the upcoming international tournament next February, the Four Nation Face-Off. He will join the staff of Penguins head coach Mike Sullivan, who's the head coach for that team as well. The Devils have also confirmed that Jeremy Colliton will become an assistant coach to Sheldon Keefe on the staff there. We had heard that rumbling and rumor for probably about the better part of the last week. So Colliton is officially on staff now with New Jersey. I've seen some say he was an associate coach. Some have said assistant. I'm not sure what title it is they officially gave him. Either way, he's on staff with New Jersey 100%. And the Penguins also have made an addition to their coaching staff, bringing in former New York Ranger and San Jose Shark head coach David Quinn. He will be an assistant coach to Mike Sullivan this coming year. I suspect that one of the reasons maybe he was brought in, amongst other things, is that he does have an existing relationship with Erik Karlsson after coaching him in San Jose. Of course, he helped him have one of his career years with that 100-point season he had a couple seasons back. I do wonder if this might be as much trying to help Karlsson find that offensive touch like he did that year as it is other things that Quinn can bring to the table as well. So I would also wonder, because we talked about how the language from Dubas and has indicated that they're in urgent need to bring in young players, prospects, picks. I suspected that maybe we might see a vet or two leave, and I think we will, but perhaps Erik Karlsson won't be that player. If he's bringing in David Quinn, I would suspect that probably tells us that Karlsson is staying, but we'll see. Carolina Hurricanes general manager candidates who have interviewed for the open GM job, externally at least, have been told that they're filling the position internally, so they're not getting the job. So that likely tells us that interim general manager Eric Tulsky likely will become the full-time GM, just a matter of time when they remove that interim tag. Dallas general manager Jim Nill has been the winner of the GM of the Year award, the Jim Gregory Award, so he did a great job in Dallas. They won the Western Conference in the regular season, made it deep in the playoffs. A lot of the moves he made paid off, signings, trades, etc. So certainly did a really good job and deserves recognition. Canucks GM Patrick Allvin was second in the voting there. The Calgary Flames have also hired former Columbus Blue Jacket head coach Brad Larson. He comes to the staff as an assistant coach to Ryan Huska. He replaced the vacant spot left by Mark Savard. Savard, who had resigned and parted ways with the Calgary Flames a couple weeks back, was expected to join Craig Berube as an assistant coach in Toronto. At least that was one of the rumors that was going around. That's not been confirmed as of yet. There's also a possibility that he may end up back as a head coach back in the Ontario Hockey League coaching junior, which he had done for a while before coming back to the NHL, where he was previously a head coach with Windsor. I'm not sure which organization he may or may not be linked to or what have you, but there is a possibility he could be back there as well if he's not taking another assistant role in the NHL. Lots of rumors around the NHL and the trade front as well. Jake Guentzel, Carolina Hurricane for now, but could he end up a Vancouver Canuck? Rick Dhaliwal is reporting that he feels that's a real possibility that we know the trading, the signing rights, for Jake Guentzel is available for trade. That's been made known by NHL reporters that the Canes are willing to trade his rights. Doesn't sound like they're going to come to an agreement on a contract extension. So unfortunately, he's moving on by the looks of things. Now, of course, we know when he ended up in Carolina, they paid a pretty good price to get him. And there was a lot of talk that he was happy there and wanted to sign and stay. And I do think it wasn't a lack of desire. I just think negotiations haven't gone the way he was hoping. And because of that, he's looking to go somewhere else by the looks of things. So the Canucks, according to Rick Dhaliwal, they were willing to offer Elias Lindholm a 7x7 contract, which he appears to not be accepting. So he says, well, if they're willing to go to 7x7 on Lindholm, why wouldn't they go to a similar contract on Guentzel? It's going to cost a little bit more, probably $8 million, but instead of having the depth at center, because as much as it's nice to have Lindholm, along with Pettersson and Miller down the middle, you really need a winger for Pettersson as well. It might be a bigger problem to kind of fix here. So at the end of the day, Guentzel, there were some reports that he didn't want to play in Canada. He preferred to stay in the U.S. Maybe he'd go to a Midwestern team, which is kind of the area where he's from. Could the Blackhawks be a possibility? And I wouldn't completely rule that out, but Dhaliwal says the reports of him wanting to stay in the States are not true, that he's open to a variety of places, and that he would go to Vancouver if the right deal's on the table. Of course, lots of connection there. Former Penguins running the organization between Allvin, Rutherford, Tocchet, etc. Some former teammates there as well. So certainly, no shortage of familiarity for Guentzel. If they put the right deal on the table, I do think it's a possibility based on Dhaliwal's reporting that it could be something that takes place. And like I said, it makes a ton of sense. Getting a all-star quality winger to play with Pettersson, especially how Pettersson struggled in the second half and in the playoffs. To me, I'd make that a high priority, is having a real solid winger for him to play with. At the end of the day, you get Miller has Besser. Pettersson needs an equivalent to that, and they haven't been able to find that. Höglander was a good option, but not anywhere near the level of a Jake Guentzel. So if Vancouver can get a deal done, especially if they're going to possibly lose Lindholm, it looks like they're probably losing Zadorov. They may lose Joshua. They're going to have a little bit of flexibility, maybe going after a guy like Guentzel, which at one point seemed like a lost cause, might be the way to go if they can get it done. So we'll see. Elliot Friedman's also reporting Marty Necas. Of course, we lots of talk around Necas lately, saying that things are kind of picking up. Lots of conversations. There was a point recently where Carolina was optimistic they might be able to bring him back. That doesn't appear to be the case anymore. Now the word is that he actually wants out. That's verbiage and language that we hadn't quite heard that before. We heard that he would prefer it and that he was open to it. Was more concerned about his role and contract and everything like that. But at this point, it sounds like he definitely wants out. So don't expect Necas to return to Carolina. There's been a lot of teams that have been linked to him. We don't have any new intel on any talks with any specific teams right now, just that he indeed does want out. So that's, like I said, something new that we hadn't quite heard before. Nikolai Ehlers in Winnipeg is drawing a lot of attention as well. And according to Dave Pagnotta, One of the teams that he believes is interested in having some conversations is the New York Islanders. We know the Islanders would definitely be in the market to add a top 6 forward. They could certainly use his speed. Ehlers is very quick, and the Islanders are, a team that's a bit older, don't have nearly enough speed. They could, like I said, he'd be a terrific upgrade addition to their forward group. What would exactly go back to Winnipeg in a potential deal is difficult to say. I would think Winnipeg's probably going to want a defenseman. Would be their preferred return. Maybe they offer Ryan Pulock. If I'm not mistaken, Pulock's from Manitoba. Maybe that works out. At the same time, I know the Islanders have moved defensemen before and learned to regret it, but at the same time, you're going to move something, and some of the other players they might prefer to move, like in the forward group, I just don't know that they would be interested in Winnipeg. Like, I know Pajot is a name that's been out there. We've even heard some about Anders Lee. Again, I don't know that they're the guys that the Jets would be looking for, though, but you never know. That's a possibility that they may take a forward back, but I think their preferred return would be a defenseman, because they're going to have a lot of turnover on their D by the looks of it this year, due to contracts expiring in free agency. So we'll see. Could Ehlers to the Islanders be a possibility? It sure could. We'll have to see where things go. Pegnoto is also reporting that the Sharks are willing to move defenseman Mario Ferraro. Now, they're not out there actively shopping him and trying to move him, but he's a player that they're getting a lot of interest on. And according to Pegnoto's reports, GM Mike Greer is very much willing to listen and certainly not afraid to include him in a deal. But he also mentions that the Sharks are looking to make some upgrades this offseason. They certainly want to be more competitive and put a better product on the ice than they did last year. Mentions that there could be some free agent defensemen they may try to sign by the likes of guys like Dylan DeMello or Sean Walker. If they make it to free agency, the Sharks will be teams that that will want to talk to them for sure, as well as some of the forwards that are on the market. They want to make some upgrades. I don't think they're delusional to the point to think they're going to go all the way from worst to the playoffs, but they definitely want to be better. And like I said, just put a better product on the ice for their fans. And it's tough to have a losing culture for too long too. So you don't want to let that fester any longer than you need to. If they can make some moves to get better, that would be wise. He does mention a variety of teams that have at least checked in or had some degree of interest in Ferraro, including the Blackhawks, the Predators, the Canes, the Flames, and the Maple Leafs. Jacob Markstrom, I'll talk about him about a bit as well. Been a hot topic. We know New Jersey's probably the favorite, but we've also heard that Ottawa has been very aggressive in goaltender trade talks, and that Markstrom is one of the guys they're linked to right now, being very much in that mix. Even though New Jersey's the favorite, I think the Sens are kind of an underdog in this trade battle and are trying to figure out how they might be able to be the preferred destination here. Now, one thing that's come up a lot in Sens rumors lately in the last day or two is that at the 2024 NHL draft, we've heard a lot about who they would probably prefer to take at number 7. Most of the rumors have been around some of the top defensemen, whether it's Zane Parekh, whether it's Sam Dickinson. Of course, it's going to depend largely on who's available, but we keep hearing that there's enough good defensemen here that one of them will be available come the 7th pick. There's no doubt. There's only so many guys can go ahead of them. But at the same time, the latest intel from the rumor mills suggests that they're really high now on Tisha Ginla, who we know, Dad Jerome works for the Flames legend. I think the Flames would love nothing more than to get a Ginla with their first round pick, and that might prove difficult picking at 9th overall. I just can't help but wonder if this intel that's suddenly getting out there in the rumor mill might be some posturing by the Sens to try to make the Flames think, okay, maybe we should deal with Ottawa to move up in the draft, because obviously, like other teams like New Jersey, they're picking at 10. The Flames could end up with a 9 and 10 pick if they do a deal with the Devils for Markstrom and they get that pick. They're picking at 9 and 10. Maybe they package those picks together and they trade up to 4, 5, 6. I don't know, right? It's a possibility when you have more currency like that. That's an option, but it's multiple moves. Whereas you could have a deal with the Sens and move up to 7, have a better chance to get them. That could be something that we see. The Sens move back to 9. They probably still get somebody that they really like. They also get their goaltender. So part of the deal, the rumored deal that they might be offering, and this is only rumored, so we don't know for sure, of course, that there's different things that are out there. Some think that Korpisalo might would be offered to go to Calgary. Now, I know that would be something that Flames would probably want an incentive to take if he's gonna replace Markstrom on their roster. So they have another first round pick, 26 overall. Maybe that's used as the incentive for them to take Korpisalo. And then, of course, like I said, maybe they're swapping picks while all of it is part of the Markstrom trade. There could be other pieces involved. Maybe a defenseman, maybe an Eric Brandstrom, maybe Jacob Chikrin. Hard to say. Something along those lines. We don't know all the pieces of the puzzle here to complete what the trade would look like. Just that the Sens at the end of the day would want to walk away to the deal with a big upgrade in goal, and at the same time still have a first-round pick that's reasonably high. So we'll see how this works out. But like I said, all the talk about Iginla and the Sens, I have no doubt they have some level of interest in him. And if the deal doesn't happen and he's on the board, maybe they do take him. They could use another top six forward. Really, as much as they need help on their blue line, I think about it. They got Kachuk, they've got Stützle, they've got Batherson. You've got Josh Norris, who struggles to be healthy sometimes. You get Giroux, who's great still, but not any younger. They could use another top six. They really could. And if Iginla's that guy, and they have tons of players on that team that are sons of former NHL players, it just seems to be something that team really pays a lot of attention to. Maybe they do draft Iginla if it's available. Hard to say, but at the end of the day, they're also rumored to be being very aggressive here on the goaltender search to try to make an upgrade in that position, which I think is absolutely necessary if they're going to take a step forward and try to be a playoff team next year. So we'll see. Let me know if you think that's more of a posturing move to try to help things along in a Markstrom trade, or if there's real legit interest there. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.